2016, the Customary Male Initiation Practice Act was signed into law. The act includes a 25-year jail sentence for anyone found guilty of breaking the law. This year alone, at least 23 boys have died in the Eastern Cape during the current summer initiation season, and no one has been convicted or held accountable. Health Portfolio Committee Chair Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo joins me now from our studios in Durban. Dr. Dhlomo, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I was looking at these numbers, Dr. Dhlomo. Each and every year we are here at almost predictable intervals counting the number of young men who have died at these initiation schools, and every year we talk about interventions to make safer initiation and fulfillment of this rite of passage to be possible, but every year we come back here. What's stalling effective regulation and perhaps intervention to make it safer for people to fulfill this cultural rite of passage?
Thank you, Tulasizo, and thanks to your viewers. I want to borrow from the same call that you say no woman should die while giving birth, which is a normal process of bringing a new life. Now, if you borrow from that, we are saying no young man should die undergoing this rite to passage practice. And some of these practices are done for religious reasons, others culturally, but there's a huge health benefit. So that's why we really encourage and also find it very important to have it done. However, the starting point is that it should be known in a particular village through headman Izinduna Ramakos that so many young men in this village will be going for this practice this season because their parents have reported to the headman and to Inkosi, and parents have also given consent. And also it's a known expert who's going to conduct the practice. In areas where that is happening, Tulasizwe, there's actually no incident of such deaths because those systems are in place. You find in areas where a young man will move from Tsolo visiting Ikopo, and he meets a group of young men who are going for the practice, and it's never been reported at home, and he goes for it, and there's no parental consent. But additionally, because there are certain conditions and illnesses now that are engulfing our societies, it will be very important to draw in a Department of Health to do a pre-screening of all those young men before they go into the practice so that they could actually receive a clean bill of health.
I'd say to you, Dr. Dhlomo,
on those issues.
I'd say to you, Dr. Dhlomo, that call that you are making for pre-screening and involving the Department of Health will be a tall order. As you and I sit, we are sitting with the latest statement coming from the traditional leaders' house through Mwelo Nonkonyana, Inkosi Mwelo Nonkonyana, basically saying right now, while we're talking about initiates dying from dehydration, and there's a call for the involvement of, the Department of Health and doctors, and basically that's being rejected as we speak. So what you are proposing, I'd say for you that it's a tall order, unlikely to ever be accepted.
Look, if it is a good practice for other communities, we need to continue to plead with those leaders. It's not that the Department of Health should go to the place where such a practice is being done. But when the parental consent has been obtained and it is known in this village, those young men pre-going to the practice should a day or two before be seen by some health workers who would give them a clean bill of health and indicate those who probably might actually be facing challenges. In addition, there are certain areas where those experts in the areas where such a practice is being conducted, when they meet challenges beyond what they expected, beyond the norm, and they see children being dehydrated, this and that, some of them still contact the Department of Health to assist because we are trying to avoid further deaths. Now, it's a matter of pleading with those who do not see this as being one of the other additional intervention programs, because where these programs are being actually implemented, we don't see any deaths where people actually rely on other collateral programs.
Dr.
The deaths are reduced or nil.
Yours as someone who leads a powerful committee in Parliament is really not to lament. You know, it's about what you are doing by way of intervention. We've given you the power as South African citizens to intervene through legislation, with the Constitution, of course, being the supreme law of the land. You have an act that doesn't seem to be having an effect, that Male Initiation Practice Act doesn't seem to have an effect. You have had now the Traditional Initiation Act bill that has been before Parliament and before the various houses of Parliament. That's not moved forward within those streams, and you sit with a situation where young men are dying of dehydration, really, in 2019, when we can easily just provide them with water. I would say to you, you are failing South Africans from the side of legislation.
Tula Sizwe, you need to know, that's why probably also when I started, I said to you, where this practice is very much entrenched and has been there for a long time, and there are experienced surgeons or whoever is conducting it, we don't get these incidences. These are episodes that are happening in areas where there are gaps, like I'm pointing out, and I'm saying if we could also insist. Now, this is a call not just to the Department of Health or to the Portfolio Committee for Health, I mean to call Hetman Amakosi to make sure that in each and every community where there has got to be young men going for the practice, it should be known, it should be parental consent. That is actually something that is around us, but not necessarily that could be championed by health. It's a societal matter, going into COGTA, going into...
Yeah, but Dr. Dhlomo, what I'm talking about is young men dying of dehydration. That shouldn't be happening. It's a public health matter. People who are going through this, practice under summer conditions that face dehydration, surely it should be possible for you to say that actually bringing in water, does it really offend tradition that much?
I agree with you, Tula Sizwe. That's why I'm saying whoever is a surgeon there should have a high index of suspicion for anything that is more than just normal and be able to indicate up front. We would not really invade such a space as a department, and I would think the department can't invade a space like that. It should be an agreed upon situation that I'm an experienced surgeon in this area, but I notice something that is untoward, and I invite the department to come and assist. Now, you can't impose on those issues. You need to respect the culture, respect the practice, work around that. It should be that surgeon. I mean, even if it was a health matter, you always get a second opinion. I'm confronted with this issue. What can I do now? Someone else could come in and assist. So it's a call to all of us to act responsibly, that if I am faced by a situation beyond what I can actually see as normal, I must call for help, whether that comes from a nurse or a doctor, but it shouldn't be happening, because dehydration is not something that happens within a minute and you are dead.
Yeah. It's
somebody observing someone losing water over a day or two, and that person eventually dies. That can be actually, and you don't even need to put a drip, it's oral hydration, right, and people are well and done.
Okay.
So somebody must be having a high index of suspicion in the areas where these practices are being done.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, sir. That's Dr. Sibongiseni Dhlomo, who is the chairperson of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Health. You are up